All right, we've had crazy tumultuous weather today. We had snow this morning. I did a video on my little Subaru just beyond me petting the dog there, and I was trying out traction and defroster tricks. The snow is gone, completely melted, and it's about 55 degrees. Crazy winds though, and crazy things happening in the shop. Look at what's peeking out. Can you see that little blue butt? That is my 1970 Honda N600 with the motorcycle engine. And you can see I've got two mufflers on it. You know, it's a good thing when I have two mufflers. I really like my neighbors, and I've been trying to rev this thing up a lot. And a 12,000 RPM sport bike engine revving next to your house is not the most, it's just not the most cool thing for a neighbor to do. So I did my part and I put two mufflers on it. It's much quieter and it still revs up. And I've got some exciting things to show you guys. So I've been working on this car for a while now, and it's sort of been driving me crazy. I had multiple changes to the fuel system. Stella wants attention. These carburetors have driven me crazy. I thought that because when this engine was in the bike and it laid over toward the front, these are semi-downdraft carburetors, that the reason they were flooding so much was because the carburetors weren't downdraft. They're more in a side draft location now. If you look at the side, they tip up a bit, maybe 45 degrees, but they're supposed to be almost vertical. So I thought, well, I'll make some adapters. So I made these adapters, put them on there, spent a bunch of time getting them all right and sealed and everything, put them on there. And it worked for a while, but I didn't like the throttle response. There's something about these rubber factory, I guess you call them adapters, or the part that holds the carburetor to the head. They're conical inside. In other words, they're large at the top and they funnel down, and they create like a velocity stack or some type of a vortex that creates that nice, crisp, super zipper throttle response, which is what I'm after. And with these, it totally deadened it. I couldn't stand it. So I put them back, put everything back, took the carburetors apart, bought rebuilt kits, rebuilt everything, all new gaskets, new floats, new float screens, new needles, new seats, and it's running better than ever. I also took out my dial a pressure fuel gauge, which has no return on it, and put in a Mallory with a return. You can see I've got my tool here, set the fuel pressure, and figured out that these carburetors do not like no more than 2 pounds of fuel pressure. They actually like about 1.75 pounds. That's perfect. They rev up good and they don't flood. They start to percolate fuel out the air bleeds if you have any more than that. So I've been working on that. I got that back as far as the quick throttle response. And I'm working on my airbox here. This is the factory airbox for an FCR. I want to mount it in there. I'm actually going to trim part of the firewall here. There's an edge on the firewall, and I think I can actually get this or part of this in there, and that will extend my, see how they clamp on there, 3 inches more of a velocity stack, which will give me even better throttle response. It just keeps the air flowing into the engine. So new spark plugs have gone in, carburetors have been rebuilt. I've been over this thing 100 times, 3 or 4 different versions of the fuel system. I finally got one that I like. I think it's time to start it up. Oh, and I synchronized the carburetors with my carburetor synchronizer. They're all perfect, of course. I got my dual mufflers on there. Let's just see what happens. I'll fire it up. Let me get this stuff out of here so nothing gets sucked down a carburetor in our test. This would be really great if it works out good. Usually when I get in here, it's flooded, and it would just drive me crazy. So we're gonna get behind the wheel here, our steering wheel, and let's get a good view of the tach here. Let me show you that. That's kind of. I'm gonna turn the key on. Hear the fuel pump running. Let's see if it starts. Come on, baby. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We like that. Pretty good response. think it's because I got double mufflers on. It's a little hesitant. But anyhow, it's revving up. It's idling good. It's not flooding. And it's fairly quiet. You can't even hear it. My double mufflers. I'm a happy boy. Oh. And there was one more thing. Let's see. Let me turn it off. There's one more thing that I forgot to mention. These carburetors have vent tubes. They're overflow tubes that on the bike, they're just like a J shape. Each set of carburetors, in other words, these two have a vent tube and these two have a vent tube. I ran them over here to this bucket. That seems to make all the difference in the world. I actually tried hooking a pump up to evacuate those and it would suck the fuel bowls dry. But those have to be open to atmospheric pressure, those vent tubes, or just atmospheric open air. If you don't have those open, try to plug them into a turn line. You can't get that nice, crisp throttle response. Speaking of the throttle response, let's see if we can do it. Start it up right here. I'll reach through here. Hit my key. Not as good as it was. Oh, my fuel pressure went up. That's why. Let's see if I can set that down. There we go. I gotta lock that down. Excellent. Can't wait to take this thing for a drive.